Can a guy that has no political experience come down an escalator, challenge the whole establishment?
Right. But you didn't expect Donald Trump to come down the escalator and start talking about illegal aliens or, rapists.
I didn't disagree with it.
This debate between Charlie Kirk and Gavin Newsom is one of the most intense exchanges we've seen. Right away, Charlie Kirk challenges Gavin Newsom on policies that don't reflect what most Americans want. They debate Trump, ballot chasing, and men in women's sports. Charlie Kirk stays sharp, using facts and exposing hypocrisy. In the end, it's a clear takedown. Charlie Kirk shows that even Democrats like Gavin Newsom quietly agree with him, but won't admit it.
Again, this is well documented. Early in my journey, I underestimated the silent majority that really wanted a rebalancing of the American political landscape.
So interesting.
So now then Gavin Newsom asked me about the impact that Turning Point Action made this last election cycle. I bragged on it a little bit, but just to reiterate, at Turning Point Action, we had over 1,000 people on the ground in Arizona and Wisconsin chasing ballots. We were registering voters. In fact, a pollster from Signal Polling showed that when we visited college campuses, students moved dramatically more in President Trump's direction versus campuses we did not. So we have two arms. We have Turning Point USA, which is our high school and our college chapter beast, also Turning Point Academy, Teep USA Faith, Blexit, all the great work that we do on digital social media. And you guys should get involved with Turning Point USA. And then Turning Point Action, our 501c4 organization, all about how we are recruiting candidates, trying to make the Republican Party more conservative and more Republican, how we are chasing ballots. That is tpaction.com. And they kind of harmonize together towards an overarching view to save Western civilization. Now, is Governor Newsom being authentic here? I don't think so. I think that he was just trying to bring the temperature of the conversation down. I always try to meet a guest at their frequency. At the same time, you have to challenge that guest. You have to challenge them on what they believe and why they believe it. So this is a little bit of a conversation about how we dominated this last election cycle and what President Trump was able to do. I believe that Turning Point Action was one of the most important outside groups. The ballots we chased, the ground game. And by the way, the media was always like, oh, Charlie Kirk is going to ruin the ground game for the right. Turns out it wasn't ruined. Turns out that we were more successful than ever before. Watch.
So Trump then became the catalyst. And so Turning Point became sort of next level. Your events start growing. Right. You organize around that. Turning Point Action becomes what?
The political arm.
The political arm.
One is more educational, one is more political. And we did ballot chasing in Arizona and Wisconsin. We were successful in that. Alongside the Trump campaign, Arizona was the best performing swing state.
And you're not modeling yourself at anything because the flatness of the surrounding terrain, meaning where are the Democrats? Are you looking at other organizing?
We were modeling off of some of the ballot chasing, ballot harvesting practices of the left.
Yep.
But I mean, that's a self-limiting principle. You can't ballot chase if no one wants to vote for you.
That's right.
So, I mean, you could have the best organizers in the world and you have 2,000 people chasing ballots in Arizona and you're running Kamala Harris in Arizona. What we ended up tracking through our data is that the Democrats were chasing for us, is that they were chasing low propensity Hispanics thinking that they were all for Kamala. And in fact, we were looking at the precinct numbers of areas we didn't hit that moved like 20 points in Trump's direction. We're like, well, thank you very much, Kamala campaign, for getting out and chasing our ballots and, for all these Hispanic men that are mechanics. We appreciate it. Thanks for making sure that we also won Dave McCormick's Senate seat.
Right.
So again, chasing is only one part of Democrats, of course, are better organizers than us. I mean, it's in your blood. Barack Obama was a community organizer. We make fun of it. It's who you guys are. Right. You guys have labor as a backbone, clipboard and tennis shoes. However,
and labor less and less. We can talk about that
for sure.
In a moment. Yeah.
But what we always felt that we had is we felt we had better ideas and a better message and all that. The idea was, can we combo a little bit of organizing practices with a mass movement, which is how you get a national popular vote victory and a overwhelming electoral landslide.
And so what do you see? I sort of talked about the flatness of the surrounding terrain, meaning the Democratic Party in some respect as it relates to, I appreciate your point about organizing, but also coercion versus, sort of forcing people to vote versus an enthusiasm and a desire to actually proactively get
Eventually that has a backfiring effect too.
I appreciate that. And so what do you see right now? I mean, I think you talked about it the other day. A lot of folks were talking about that Carville article where he talked about
roll over and play dead.
Roll over. In essence, he
Well,
said that. I think it was a
said, though, right?
strategic
Yeah.
retreat, right? That we need to come back. Trump's starting to implode. His numbers are getting soft. This was even before the tariff issues, et cetera. And then come back and strike when hot. And I immediately, no BS, thought about you, who's just 24/7 flooding the zone, back to my 13-year-old, owning this space, every day getting a convert, every day picking up 1, 2, 10,000 folks, continuing the momentum, coming out of this damn election. And then I'm thinking about, we're going to stand back and watch you run circles around us for 6 months, the next 2 or 3 years, waiting for the moment to finally strike. Struck me as not necessarily the best advice, and it's not a knock on Carville, who I have deep respect for. What's your thoughts?
That's okay. So I don't have to. He's right about one thing in the last 40 years. It's economy is stupid, and boy, he spent down that one line pretty amazingly. But yeah, look, I'll say I don't want to make this about Carville, but like, yeah, I hope you guys retreat.
You kind of like the
more
advice.
For us.
You like
I mean,
the advice.
there's no opposition. There's no activist spark. If like you guys are posting these cringe videos on social media.
What are the videos? What are the ones that
I don't know.
most
This
cringy?
like harmonious thing of like 22 senators all saying the same
Oh, you
thing.
didn't like that, yeah.
I didn't like it.
What
I mean,
do you-
go
what do
ahead. Go do more of that.
What do you do?
Please.
What do you do? Seriously, Charlie Kirk, give us some
Get
advice.
better ideas, Governor.
Is
Like
it
for
ideas?
example, I mean, like if you want to, like you have an opportunity to, like run to the middle and seize this mantle. Obviously,
Right.
you're talking to me of all people.
Yeah.
So Governor Newsom then asks my advice for the Democrat Party. What you are about to see is the most viral part of our entire conversation. It's Governor Newsom that has pivoted away from the consensus on the Democrat Party on a major issue. It is an 80-20 issue against the Democrats, and it's a major debate. We believe we are on the right side of this debate, obviously, and Governor Newsom is receiving huge backlash for this very tape. And I politely but very firmly pushed Governor Newsom on why he would not speak out on this critically, I believe, civilizationally defining issue. Here it is, the most viral element of this entire discussion. Watch.
So like you right now should come out and be like, you know what? The young man who's about to win the state championship in the long jump in female sports,
Right.
that shouldn't happen. You as the governor should step out and say no.
No, and I appreciate
But like, would you do something like that? Would you say no men in female sports?
well, I think it's an issue of fairness. I completely agree with you on that. It is an issue of fairness.
so
it's deeply unfair.
Would you speak out against this young
I
man,
mean, I'd
A.B. Hernandez, who right now is going to win the state championship in the long jump? I can see you wrestling with it.
No, I'm not wrestling. I'm not wrestling with the fairness issue. I totally agree with you. By the way, as someone with 4 kids, I think
And
got
2 daughters, right?
2 daughters.
And I have a daughter too.
And a wife that went, God forbid, to Stanford and played on the junior national soccer team, and a guy who got into college only because I was left-handed and could throw a baseball a little bit or hit the ball for a little bit. So I revere sports. And so the issue of fairness is completely legit. And I saw that the last couple of years. Boy, did I saw how you guys were able to weaponize that issue at another level.
Not weaponize. Don't. That's
Well,
a little,
weaponize may be pejorative. You're right, but you were able to
shine a light on.
highlight it in a way that, frankly, there are not that many out. We're talking about, I think, the NC2A, what, 510,000? No, but I just didn't realize.
It's 890 medals and trophies that we know of in the last 5 years. That's a lot.
No, so let me step back, say completely fair on the issue of fairness. I completely agree. So that's easy to call out, the unfairness of that. There's also a humility and a grace, that these poor people are more likely to commit suicide, have anxiety and depression. And the way that people talk down to vulnerable communities is an issue that I have a hard time with as well. So both things I can hold in my hand. How can we address this issue with the kind of decency that I think, is inherent in you, but not always expressed on the issue?
No, I get it.
At the same time, deal with the unfairness.
So you asked a good faith question. Like,
Yeah.
how do we Democrats get out of the wilderness?
Yeah.
This one is an 80-20 issue. New York Times poll, right? That's
No,
not
I
like
agree with you. We're getting
Breitbart.
crushed on it.
And like
Crushed.
And you have an opportunity in the
Crushed.
state to be like, look, I have a heart for A.B. Hernandez. I have a heart for the San Jose volleyball player.
Yeah.
Let's give them compassion. What's not fair is just for like a entire woman's sports.
I agree. By the way, I agree with you. And it's interesting. I stress tested this, Charlie. I was wondering, I said, in California, and I've been a leader in the LGBTQ space, as you know, back in 2004, was marrying same-sex couples. And I know we have different opinion on marriage equality. And so I've been at this for years and years. I take a backseat to no one. But I was actually on the issue of sports, which in the last few years has just exploded. Trying to understand the 10 athletes in the NC2A, 510,000 athletes, but 10 athletes, but how profound. And even my own friend cohort, people saying, what the hell is going on?
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't you calling this out? When did this happen? So turns out in 2014, years before I was governor, there was a law established the legal principles that allow trans athletes in women's sports. But the issue of fairness is completely legit. So I completely align with you. And we've got to own that. We've got to acknowledge it. And I don't say that through the prism of politics, because you disagree with same-sex marriage on principle. And so I'm not, and by the way, I value the fact that you're not trying to walk away from that principle, because electorally,
I'm in the minority of it.
Yeah, in the minority. And I don't want to walk away from this principle because it's electoral, but it is an issue of fairness.
In the end, Charlie Kirk didn't just win this debate. He exposed the shaky foundation that a lot of Gavin Newsom's talking points are built on. Whether it was about ballot chasing, cultural issues, or basic fairness in sports, Charlie stayed cool, confident, and called out the contradictions without flinching. It's debates like this that show why Charlie Kirk is becoming such a major voice in conservative politics. He brings the heat and backs it up with facts, not feelings.